Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a translation of a message that I received. The translation reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? My brother, I am a woman who is suffering. I come from Mashingo in an area called Gutu. I do not want to mention the name of the village because some people maybe that don't like me will know that it is I that has given you this confession. As for my story goes on like this. I am married and I have one kid. But my brother, what happened to me is that recently I lost my pregnancy. When I lost my pregnancy, it was now at 6 months old. That was when I lost the pregnancy. Even the doctors could not even understand what exactly went wrong because all of a sudden, my child that I was carrying in my womb just vanished. One morning, Brother Nashi, when I woke up, I felt that there was nothing left in my womb. It felt so empty. Even though my stomach was still big, people could see that I was pregnant, but in my womb I could feel that there was nothing there. I even held my own tummy trying to feel if my baby was still alive or kicking. But what pained me was that whenever I would say maybe the baby is dead, but I would say then if the child is dead or maybe he is suffocated in my womb, why do I feel so much emptiness in my womb like that? That was when I started to have a lot of bleeding. There was too much bleeding. I thought that maybe it was a miscarriage. I was then rushed to the clinic. When I was rushed to the clinic, even the nurses, they were even confused. That was when I was taken to the doctors. The doctors then said that this was not a pregnancy in the first place, but there was just too much fluids in my womb. Is that even possible, Brother Nashi, that for 6 months I can walk around feeling the kicks of my baby as my baby was growing? Only after 6 months, the doctors, they tell me now that there was no pregnancy in the first place, but what happened was that there is too much fluids, watery fluids that are there in my womb. So those watery fluids were the ones that were making my body to produce the hormones that made my body to think that I am actually pregnant when I was not pregnant. But what about the kicking sensations? Any woman that has carried a child before can understand what I am trying to say. You cannot just imagine something kicking you in your womb, but only a child can do that. I would feel my child moving around my womb, but the doctor said that there is just water that is in my womb. As for me, my brother, I grew up in an area in the capital city of our country here in Harare, in a town called Kuwadzana. That is where I met my husband. But when I got pregnant, I came to his village, for those introductions and getting to know my in-laws and his parents. All of a sudden, they were angry because it seemed as if there was a girl. This girl, she was so close to my mom-in-law and she wanted her son to marry that girl. But as time went on, I was then accepted and it was a painful thing, but finally they accepted me. But that girl, she kept on coming and we used to go to the same church because as for my in-laws, they are white garment church goers. They go to the white garment church, and this girl, the problem is that she is a prophetess there. She is the one that used to pray for me even when I was pregnant. My in-law would force me so that they can go with me to that same girl that they wanted their own son to get married to. That is why I am so confused like this. And whenever she would be praying for me, she always prophesied to me and she would say that I had bad luck. So it became a threat to me because here I was pregnant. The prophetess who was praying for me, she was in love with my husband, even though my husband didn't love her. So I said, this thing is not a nice thing. Maybe this prophetess is going to do something bad to me and with my pregnancy. I gave birth the first time. And when we came back to the city, after 4 years staying in the city, life became so hard. So we had to move out of the city. We then returned back to the village with my husband, because as for my husband, he had been fired from work. So we stayed here in the village. And still, that woman, she was not married. When we had came back, she would visit us here and there. She would stay with my mother-in-law, just speaking with my mother-in-law until it was late, and I was never comfortable with it. But my husband promised me that he was not going to entertain her, and he just ignored her. So I got pregnancy, and that was when I carried this pregnancy for 6 months. I was going for regular checkups. Even the nurses, I asked them each and every time when they would tell me that the doctors had said that this was a false pregnancy. There was this other nurse who used to speak with me, and I asked her, but why did you say that I was pregnant? Why did you even feel the baby kicking if this was a false pregnancy? Because the baby was breathing and kicking really well. My mother-in-law one day came with a chicken. When she came with this chicken, it was a live chicken. She then said, "Oh, my daughter-in-law, I want you to take this chicken. I want you to slaughter it. And after you have slaughtered it, I want you to cook it." So this was like the first time that she had ever done this, because each and every time when she would bring home a live chicken, she would always call that woman who was in love with my husband, and she would say, "Oh, my daughter-in-law, my true daughter-in-law, can you prepare this chicken for me?" But on that day, I was the one who was given that honor to slaughter that chicken so that I can prepare a nice meal for her. Brother Nashi, when my pregnancy was at 6 months, that was when I noticed that the baby had stopped kicking and there was this emptiness inside my womb. When I felt sick, when I was taken to the hospital, that was when I was told that there was no child in my womb. Many tests were conducted, but the results did not change anything. Instead of a baby, there is this watery fluid that is filling up my womb. This thing, it even surprised the whole staff at the hospital. Now the problem that I have is that this water that is inside my womb, it is said that I have to be operated, otherwise I will never be able to give birth again. Currently, we are going out looking for anyone that can assist us. It is I and my husband. We are looking for any kind of solution. But there's this other place where we went to. When we went to that place, I was told that they used those charms, and those charms, they want me to die so that my husband, when I am dead, will be left with no choice than to marry this prophetess. My brother, I am asking for anyone who can assist me from this prophetess, who can deliver me from this prophetess who has placed a charms inside my womb. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our admins. Strange things do happen in this world. The woman was saying that she fell pregnant, then after 6 months, the baby had disappeared. Yo,